Panic at the Disco is an American pop rock band formed in Las Vegas in 2004 by four childhood friends. Originally, the band was a Blink-182 cover band, but they soon began to develop their own music. They were very quickly signed to Fueled by Ramen's label after sending a few of their demos to Pete Wentz, bassist of the band Fall Out Boy, which was also signed by Fueled by Ramen. Since the beginning, Panic has played with their sound and has deviated from what was expected of them musically. It's safe to say that Panic at the Disco is a band which uses its knowledge of how media is constructed to explore and examine different musical genres as a means of expression, as well as a means to call attention to the arbitrary lines drawn between them. Pop music as a genre has always followed a set construction in order to hook an audience: verse, chorus, bridge. Usually there are 2 to 3 verses separated by a memorable chorus that hooks the listener, and usually near the end there is a bridge, also known as a breakdown, which contrasts what has come before. While Panic does conform to the standard pop format, their first album was acclaimed for its unique musical style. A Fever You Can't Sweat Out was an amalgamation of emo, pop punk, and vaudeville themes. Pop punk as a genre relies heavily on power chords and generally follows the pop structure, with an intro, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, bridge, chorus, and then finally an outro. A Fever You Can't Sweat Out has the quirk of vaudevillian Baroque themes, however, which sets it apart musically. For example,
what a beautiful wedding, says a bridesmaid to a waiter. Yes, but what a shame, the poor groom's bride is a whore.
This album is considered to be very polarizing amongst listeners and critics alike. Fans of emo felt that it was shallow, but many praised it for being genre-busting. Pretty Odd, Panic's second album, was considered psychedelic pop, heavily inspired by the sounds of bands like the Beatles and the Beach Boys. Psychedelic pop is generally structured like regular pop, though the instrumental is considered trippy thanks to effects on vocals and instrumental. For example, Pretty Odd is critically considered to be their worst album. The deviation from their original sound and the fact that nothing they made afterwards sounded anything like it made it an outlier, and is generally overlooked by fans, aside from a sort of cult following. The brain behind much of Pretty Odd, Ryan Ross, left the band along with bassist John Walker to start their own band, called the Young Banes. Formally, this departure was due to artistic differences from Panic's frontman, Brendan Urie. The Young Banes released one album that had a vintage pop rock feel similar to that of Pretty Odd, and then they seemed to pretty much drop off the face of the earth. Panic's third album, Vices and Virtues, began to lead more towards the alternative side of pop, and it returned to some of the Baroque roots that could be seen in A Fever You Can't Sweat Out.
Something, call it desperation. Another dollar, another day. And if she had the proper words to say, she would tell him, but she'd have nothing left to sell him.
Panic's fourth album, Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die, is generally considered straight pop, though it has some rock influences. Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die has the highest Metacritic score of all of Panic's albums, which is unsurprising considering its obvious pop sound. This seems like a clear indication as to the power of pop's formulaic draw, because despite Panic's already impressive following, the pop-centric album was still the most popular. Panic's fifth album, Death of a Bachelor, is labeled pop rock, but it brings in some more soulful elements as well. It was well received, certainly, but not as critically acclaimed as Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die. Additionally, Death of a Bachelor is interesting in that at the time of its creation, Brendan was the only original member of Panic left. In fact, he was the only member of Panic, period. His influence on the music throughout Panic's history is obvious, as he himself has stated that his preference is for pop music. It only makes sense that Panic's music has gotten progressively more poppy as he obtained more and more control over the songwriting process. He's also grown a lot as a songwriter since his high school days, making the music much stronger lyrically and instrumentally. Is Brendan's lean towards pop music a money grab? Maybe. But personally, I think it has to do more with Brendan and his fellow band members wanting to explore different sounds. Though a critical reception of each album is important to consider. Whether or not they were going for money in their general descent into pure pop, they certainly benefited from it. As their music gravitated more towards a pop sound, more people gravitated towards them. So, regardless of their intentions, the way pop music is constructed has assisted them in their journey towards fame and fortune.